I'm just going to say a very few words. And I'm not going to do like a fellow did one time. I'll tell this story and get started. A friend of mine's brother had died, and I decided to go to the funeral. Got over there, and the group sang a hymn, and the preacher prayed, and they sang another hymn, and he got up to speak, and he said, this gentleman, called his name, is a man of few words when he was alive, and he said, in honor of him, I'm not going to say much today. I'm just going to say a few words. And I thought to myself, this evil thought looked good. And it was 2:10. I looked at my clock, and my watch, and it was 2:10. He started talking. When he hushed, I looked at my watch, and it was 3 o'clock. I thought to myself, if that's a few words, I'd sure hate to sit and listen to him when he had a lot to say. But that's a true story, folks. That actually happened. But I'm not going to say a whole lot today. I could say a lot about Ed Hall. I could say all afternoon. Ed Hall's the best friend I ever had. We were friends for approximately 75 years. That's longer than most of you have been here on this earth. But we were friends from the time we were in elementary school. I'm not sure what grade we were in, but anyway, Ed was a year ahead of me, and I was just quite honored when he took me in and was my friend. He's a big guy, and I was a little bitty fella. I kind of got picked on a little, but I never got picked on anymore after Ed became my friend. And so we were friends all through elementary into high school, played ball. Ed was an excellent athlete, and I wasn't, but I enjoyed playing and trying. So I went away to college then, and he and Frank Ross, another friend of ours, were already there. I got to the dorm when my folks left me, and it's a little old room. It had a double bunk in it, a desk, 2 chairs, and 2 dressers. You could hardly turn around in there. Well, Ed and Frank came in a day or two later, and they came down to see me. And Ed looked around, and he said, you don't want to live in here? And I said, why not? It's the only place I know. He said, we got a big room up on the hill. We're going to move you up there. And I said, well, is that all right? He said, yeah, it's all right. He went and got his car. He had an old 49 Ford. I never will forget it. Loaded my stuff in, moved up on the hill. They had a room about 4 times that size. Had 4 just plain cots in it. Well, I thought I had moved into heaven. But I lived there all 4 years in my college. I stayed right there. Ed married and went into the Air Force after a couple of years. And we stayed in touch by mail, and in the meantime, I graduated, married, and got a job teaching school here. And so when he got out of service, he had moved back to this area. And before long, Pat was working over here. His folks had been in charge here when the Van House first opened in 1958. And Ed did most of the mowing around here at that time, even though he was not employed. So when Erskine retired, Ed got the job as the head of the department here. He was the man here. He and Pat ran this place. And I think he came here about, I think he told me in 1971. And I came over here in 76. He asked me one day, we were somewhere, I'd like to work a little part-time. He had a little extra money. And I was always looking for something to do in the summer. So anyway, I started over here in 1976. Tim came along a year or 2 later. He was still in high school, but for a long time there, the 4 of us looked after this place, Ed, Pat, and Tim and I. And the Halls were the best friends I've ever had. I tell you, they saw me through a lot of troubled times, had some problems, personal problems, and I could always come and talk to Ed and Pat, and they always listened. They lived right down there about where the building is, and a mobile home. They raised their children there, all 3 of them. I remember when the house was built, they were able to move out there. What a happy time it was for the family at that time. But Ed Hall looked after this place. When you thought about the Van House, and at that time you thought about Ed and Pat. They were the Van House people. He was proud of the work that he did here. He kept this place looking good, kept it mowed, kept everything tip-top shape, and people in the community appreciated it. Although I think they told other people more than they ever told him how much they appreciated it. It looked good here, and he was very, very proud of it. One time, he and Pat had taken off during the summer. They took a few days on vacation. I don't remember if Tim was here with me that day or not, but anyway, Ralph Turner So anyway, Ralph stopped by that day, and we talked to him, and he asked about it. I said, he didn't tell me you were coming. I don't think he said, oh, he didn't know I was coming. He said, I had a problem over at Cloudwood Canyon, and so I went over there, and I used this area. I stopped Fort Mountain, down in Uichota. He said, I very seldom ever stopped here. But he said, I had time today, and I thought I'd stop by. But anyway, he made this comment. He said, you know, I don't come see Ed and Pat much here today, and I said, don't get over here that much. But he said, I don't have to. Of all the facilities that I supervise in this area, I trust the land. I know it's well taken care of. He said, Ed Hall takes care of everything. I don't have to worry about them. So he said, for one reason, I don't come by here very often, because it's the best run, the best supervised place that I have in my area. So he was really, really well spoken. So I couldn't wait to tell Ed when he came back what Ralph said about him. Really pleased, of course, but it was the truth. That's exactly the way his boss felt about it, because he did run a good place here. And he said he's also fortunate that he has you and Tim to leave here when he's back. I wasn't going to say that. To leave us here. And they felt free to take a few days. At that time, we only had, I think, about 5 acres of property here. And so it was a little easier to take care of. But Ed and I have been, as I said, friends for a long time. We've been a lot of places, done a lot of things in our lifetime. Some of them I couldn't tell you about. We did have a good time in our lifetime. And the regret that I have is the last few years I didn't get to see it as much as I would have liked because of health reasons. Tim and I went over and visited with him about a year ago, I think, and had planned to go back. This pandemic hit us, and we had talked just recently about things cleared up a little. We were going back to visit and of course that didn't happen. But we stayed in touch by phone. I talked to him. We talked to maybe every week or two about things, how things was going on here. But Ed Hall was a gentleman. He was as good as anybody I have ever known. Like I said, he always had my back. That's what the kids say today. And it never mattered. If I had a disagreement with somebody, it didn't matter if I was right or wrong. As far as Ed was concerned, I was right. And I tried to do the same thing for them. They had a rough time one time in their lifetime here. Their daughter was killed. I felt so inadequate. When he called me, could he come help me? And I did, and I was more than glad to be able to help. So anyway, I just want to say a few words. Ed Hall was my friend. He ran this place here, made the Van House what it is today. She's been here about 30 years, he and Pat together. I think she was here maybe a few years longer than me. But they made the Van House and took care of it and made it what it is today. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for